Welcome to the Low Stakes Podcast. With ticks are hot, the negus smoke low and slow, and the stories are always medium rare. Hosted by Jeff Avgaris, fisherman and backyard barbecue master, alongside co-host Dave Lodwig, a Star Wars-loving, baseball-obsessed pitmaster, and produced by the outdoorsman himself, Nate Cross. Quite possibly the greatest name in podcasting. This is the Low Stakes Podcast.
Welcome back, guys. We are back. Happy Memorial Day to you two.
Happy Memorial Day. I didn't serve, but I appreciate it.
Hey, you got
any
somebody?
chance to celebrate.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, that's not even Memorial. That's Veterans Day.
That is true. Yeah.
Memorial Day is those who died.
And remembering them,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Remembering them.
Full disclosure here, we're recording this like 5 days before Memorial Day, but you know, hey.
Well, why do you have to spoil the illusion? Like law enforcement's outside the door waiting for you to say something inaccurate.
I have morals, Dave. I know inside of myself.
Yeah, I'm off the clock.
Well,
That's true.
what have we been up to this week, guys? Anything super exciting?
So I have rediscovered something that I honestly haven't had this in at least 10 years. But my daughter was curious and she wanted to try Taco Bell. And I had not had Taco Bell in like a decade, and I think it's because, I'm afraid of like botulism or something like that. And
Understandable.
yeah, it's completely understandable. So I took her and we got Taco Bell.
Nice.
And
How'd that go?
it went well. My lower intestines survived the experience. That was my number one fear, is that I would take up my evening hours going to and from the bathroom, but that didn't happen.
Yeah,
It was actually kind of surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I got 3 soft tacos, just classic Taco Bell tacos, bit into the first one, and I think what I immediately realized that I had missed is you can taste the disdain in them. Like you can taste the hatred from the high school kid as he's putting the meat mixture into the tortilla. And I'm very careful not to. I'm not convinced it's completely meat. I think it's mostly meat. But anyway,
Mostly meat.
They're going to trademark that.
Yeah.
mostly meat. Our new mostly meat chalupa. But no, you can just taste the hatred.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much better. No, I loved it. I was like, Taco Bell tacos took me back to my college years.
It's not bad. I had this conversation with somebody recently, and I don't remember who it was, but they were young enough to not remember the news stories of the high school kid that relieved himself in the refried beans. Remember that?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And so that was, and I looked it up. It was a long time ago. It was in the 90s. And so, but yeah, this kid, and it wasn't a lot. It was just enough. And I think it was I'm sick of this job sort of thing. But that's always stuck with me. Like I cannot get over that. And I try to not get refried beans if I go to Taco Bell.
There was a lot of stories like that about fast food places back in the day.
Mhm.
Like KFC had served a deep fried rat somewhere in their 6,000 restaurants. Like that had happened. There was one with Jack in the Box, and
There was.
I'm trying to remember. It's like people got like super sick in Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
Jack in the Box. Jack in the
I don't think I've ever been to a Jack in the Box.
So for the longest time, and it used to crack me up every time I would go there, is they had a special sauce on their burgers, but they called it Jack sauce.
That's unfortunate.
So every time I would go in to get a burger, I would have to say, please don't put any Jack sauce on my burger. Meanwhile, like everybody else in the car is just giggling like, you should have asked for extra Jack sauce.
You know what's funny about Jack in the Box is they used to have all fast food have the best chicken strips. Hands down, not even a close second. And they do this buttermilk ranch with it. And so when I was young, that was like, if you're going to get chicken strips, you go to Jack in the Box. It's that good. And then they got cheap. And it's like the truck that drives around and delivers, the chicken strips. It's the same ones everywhere now.
Well, they had tacos. Jack in the Box tacos.
That's their thing.
Like that was That is the pothead's delight. Like they would go there. Like,
Yep.
you know, it's like you got done with your bowl of Pineapple Express and then you had to go to Jack in the Box, get yourself 9 dozen tacos. They don't even use shredded cheese. They just use the same, 4x4 cheese slice they put on their hamburgers. They just slide it into the corn tortilla and put the meat in, throw the whole thing in the deep fryer, and it comes out. And it's like the tortilla looks like a paper bag that's carrying fried chicken.
Yeah.
Where it's almost translucent.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
What's
Jack in
your
the Box.
favorite fast food?
Today?
Yep.
Oh, man. I feel like Wendy's is always our go-to. I'm also at a stage of life where fast food doesn't always do the best.
Doesn't go well.
Yeah, it does not go well with me. I would say locally, Frugals.
This is good.
I had a Frugal's burger the last episode that we for lunch that day. After we recorded, I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I remember Frugal's used to be a pretty quality burger, and I was like, it was like, those patties where you can tell, okay, this is stamped out on a production line. They're perfectly shaped. They're exactly the same thickness all the way through. They have hard edges instead of being, a little bit kind of freeform. And I was just like, I don't know. I was a little disappointed because I love Frugals. If before the last episode, I would have said in answer to what's your favorite fast food, Frugals. But now I'm like, I don't know.
What is it now? Do you know?
Probably Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, when the family needs something quick to eat after a baseball or softball game, it's either Chick-fil-A or Wendy's.
Yeah.
There's something about both of those where they just taste fresh.
Yeah.
I will say McDonald's used to be like a running joke.
No, actually, it's just a joke. No one at McDonald's runs.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's the other kind of runs.
Exactly.
Get that.
I would chuckle every time I drove past McDonald's because they're still counting. Over 9 billion hamburgers served or whatever it is. Like they're trying to get the word out so cows just come and surrender. We've seen the propaganda. If you could just make us into a Happy Meal, we'd be fine with that. But McDonald's has gotten a lot better.
It is better.
Yeah.
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 It's not bad. It's still a gut bomb, but it's better. And it's just hard. It's being an old guy. I remember when the chicken nuggets were actual chicken, and now they're that pink paste that they use. And it's just, I don't know. When you get old enough that you remember the way it used to be, it's hard to love the way it is, know.
You got to justify your decisions to your doctor.
Yeah.
Once you hear hey, your cholesterol didn't go down. Remember when we had that talk?
Didn't go down.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, Doc. You got Burger King coupons coming out of your pocket.
Yeah, I would say criteria wise, it depends on what a fast food is for me. But if this fits into the criteria, Five Guys is my favorite fast food. They make good burgers.
It's fast enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's no drive-through, but it's a walk through and grab it and go. So
If I want to go grab a burger, Five Guys, not even fast food, but just a regular sit-down burger, Five Guys is pretty high up on the list.
Yeah.
For going to get a good burger.
Because it's like you said, it's a made burger. It's
Right.
It's got normal edges. They put a hunk of meat there and smash it down. It's it's the real deal, and all the toppings and stuff. My complaint with Five Guys is if you don't eat it there, the bun gets soggy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fast food pro tip for you: if you want fresh, hot fries, no matter where you go, ask for fries without salt. Because they don't have a bin full of salt-free fries. And so they have to make a new batch of fries, and they just don't put salt on them. And then you go grab a salt packet, pour it on top of your fries, and you have fresh,
do they?
hot. I mean, they probably do. Might relieve themselves.
My buddy back in college worked at Burger King, and he cued us in on that. If you don't want, a Whopper that's been sitting under a heat lamp for an hour, you always order it minus an ingredient. Right? Hey, I need a Whopper, no onions, or I need a Whopper, no mayo, or whatever it is. And then it's guaranteed to come fresh. And so we learned that trick a long time ago.
Yeah. You probably can tell it's almost lunchtime for us here because that's all we want to talk about is food. But,
no.
Dave, why don't you talk about our sponsor we got?
Well, I got a new sponsor. Our show today is brought to us by Mystery Meadows Skincare. Are you looking for products that elevate your body and skin instead of harming it? Fellas, we can all admit that as we get older, the quality of our skincare products matters more and more. Mystery Meadows has an entire line dedicated to men, from aftershave to body bars. They even have beard oil. Visit mystery-meadows.com today and revitalize the way you look.
Does that beard oil do anything for gray hair?
No. But there's cologne on there, and one of the, I want to say flavor. One of the scents is barrel aged whiskey.
Ooh,
I know.
Ah.
I know.
I don't wonder what that smells like.
I'm gonna guess barrel aged whiskey.
What does it say about?
You walk into someplace like, sir, have you been drinking?
Worse than that, get pulled over for a speeding thing. Huh?
It's 8:54 in the morning, sir.
It's
You
5
smell
o'clock
like-
somewhere.
You smell like whiskey.
What does it say about the state of men's hygiene? That all of the scents for body washes, beard oils, all that sort of stuff appeals to men.
Mm-hmm. That was interesting. I didn't
It's
think about
something
that.
I always think about that. Like, you go to the store, you pick out a scent, and you're like, man, I like this.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you trying to impress?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, women's is kind of the same way. Like,
Right.
you know, I like the way women smell and all that fancy stuff, but I think they're trying to smell good for other women more than men.
Yeah, I think we should flip it around. We should be wearing the rose scented perfumes,
Yeah.
and our wives ought to be wearing the Dave is not liking me.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm on board with this. This is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
There are 3 scents
No.
that I would prefer. So one would be campfire.
Mm-hmm.
If I could just smell like a campfire all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Burrito fart.
Wait, why?
I don't know. It just kind of announces that you arrived in the room. In fear.
That one's harder to synthesize. That's a tough one.
Is it?
You know, it's funny. My wife, and you know, you grow up in the country. Nate, you probably have a little bit of this too. My wife loves the scent. I shouldn't say love. She likes the scent of gun cleaning oil. Because her dad
I
grew
do
up,
too.
I do too. And her dad would clean his guns, and that she associates that with, you know, her dad cleaning her guns. And so when I do it now, she just loves it. And so they actually make a scent for that. They make a
Oh,
cologne.
nice.
Yeah, that's
It's a little harder on the skin.
It hurts.
It's
Yeah.
not quite the same level of skincare.
don't hit any open wounds with that stuff. All right, so that will segue us into our main topic today. We're going to be talking, you know, in the news recently has been the talk of aliens, UFOs. Now they're calling them UAPs. I think they're calling them UAPs because UFO has a negative connotation with it. But that's been
That is funny in and of itself because, like, why do we care?
Like the aliens are
We
offended.
don't. Yeah, we don't want to offend the aliens, guys. Okay.
Whoa. What did you call me?
now I'm going to nuke your world. But along with the aliens and the releasing of all these records and what's going on, we want to talk about conspiracies and what's been, you know, for, I mean, going on 100 years pretty much. But what are all these different conspiracies and what are all the different, you know, online discussions about what's around aliens? And then what have we learned recently? How does that match up? Have we learned anything? So that's what we want to talk about today.
Did a deep dive into this last night to get ready for the show, and first of all, I mean the conspiracy du jour has to do with the either dead or missing scientists that is happening, and somehow aliens are involved with that because everybody watched that 3-episode arc of the X-Files back, 30 years ago, and that's exactly what happened in that show. But the alien conspiracy thing, it's a modern phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was no like UFO stuff really in pop culture pre-1940s.
Yeah.
Really, you could go back to like Robert Heinlein, I think, or no, the guy that came up with Conan the Barbarian. I'm blanking out on his name. He kind of wrote about, vaguely alien species. Cthulhu, that's, he's technically an alien. But it wasn't really until the pulp magazines of the 1940s that the whole conspiracy thing surrounding aliens became a part of pop culture.
Yeah, when did War of the Worlds happen on the radio?
Well, maybe late 1930s. I think the movie came out around 52 or 53.
I cannot imagine what that was like in real time. Like, they brought out War of the Worlds and they put it out on the radio like it was legit happening.
People were freaking out.
They were freaking out.
Did Orson Welles?
I don't know.
I want to say Orson Welles was the one that was on the radio reading about all of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
didn't they make him do a couple of not sponsor spots, but like, hey, this is fictional, this is dramatization, but he did it like kind of in a really like subtle way where if you weren't paying attention, you didn't catch it. I think that's how the story goes, and like he intended for people to be fooled by it.
Totally, yeah, It was Orson Welles, and it was October 30th, 1938, on CBS Radio Network.
But that probably was the first like real big aliens like cultural moment.
I'm sure.
Do you imagine the lawsuits that would come from doing something like that today? Like fooling the entire general population into thinking that, there's tripods wiping out America and causing people, to essentially get PTSD while they're hiding in their basement from these, men from Mars.
Yeah. I actually think that would have been a fun time to live through, right?
Oh, yeah.
Would that have been great?
Oh, yeah.
Man, yeah. So that evolves into what happened in the 50s and 60s, and then we go to the moon, and, obviously people are like, well, the discussion's always been online is that technology went on fire right after the 50s there when we first supposedly had found aliens or whatever. And all of a sudden we're going to the moon, we're building skyscrapers, we got all this technology, and over the next 50, 60 years there, we've leaped more than we did in 2,000 years before that. So that's part of this conspiracy is like, how did we evolve like that?
Right. The kind of the common thing is like we went from horse-drawn carriages to the moon in 100 years.
Yeah. Well, it's quick.
It's because of those reptilian guys.
Exactly. That's the only explanation.
That's the only plausible explanation. That's my favorite alien conspiracy. I think it comes from. It was really forwarded by a guy named David Icke, who's this British. What's the term I'm looking for? Nut job, and one of his many diatribes that he went into back in, I think it was the 70s, was this idea that reptilian shapeshifters from the Alpha Draconis solar system set up shop here somewhere, either during Atlantis before it sunk into the ocean, but they clearly emerged during the French Merovingian dynasty and established a new world order that we would refer to as the Illuminati. And these shape-shifting reptilians have been the ones pulling the strings on society ever since. I find it plausible.
Yeah, why not? Shoot, I believe it. So, yeah, and then you evolve into like E.T. and movies that's been centered around it. It's been a thing in society. People have built their underground bunkers around this stuff. So,
and people buy into it. Do we believe in aliens?
Yes.
I do, but I'm a little different.
You could have just said that.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't have to have a qualifying statement. Just go ahead and give us your theory.
Well, I believe in interdimensional beings that present as aliens.
That's deep.
So much to make fun of there. I think that there is alien life. I just don't think it's humanoid. Like that's the hubris of humanity. Every time we depict aliens, they're always like humanoid.
Yeah.
They always have arms and legs and a head. And I actually think one of the best depictions of what alien life could be like is from John Carpenter's movie, The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it doesn't have actually a defined shape per se. It's just this. It is a thing, and I don't know. Looking at all of the files that have been released, number one, I find it hilarious that I think people really thought like the government was going to release definitive proof of aliens going back to Roswell or something like that. And of course they're not going to do that. They're going to give us a million documents of maybe something, but
globes.
Yeah, you know, and that's what most of the stuff, even there was another dump in late March, I think, is where a lot of the fervor in conspiracy stuff is coming from again. And it's just like, well, maybe it's always like some sort of weird dot that moves in an irregular pattern.
Yeah.
They even released...
That is why they've changed it to the UAP, because it's unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it has to include a wider range of, you know, it's not an object anymore, because it's literally just something.
You know,
Yeah.
P as in phenomenon. The one that I found the most fascinating out of all those documents was the shots from Apollo 12. Did you see those?
Yeah.
The objects in space that they saw from the moon. It could have just been ice crystals, but I don't know. I guess ET like flew by to give him a peace sign or something.
Very possible. You know, my theory is that I just think that we would be arrogant as humans on Earth to think as vast as space is, that somewhere out there, it doesn't have to be in our solar system, somewhere out there has to be something that's intelligent life. Just has to be, right? It's just the law of odds, or law of whatever. I put a law of averages and something with odds put together. The odds are that there's something out there. Are they more intelligent than us? You know, who knows? But there's got to be something out there, and that's fine. You know,
I would love every time we depict aliens in popular culture and movies, TV, or something like that. More often than not, they're superior to us technologically or whatnot. I would love to discover alien life and realize it's drastically inferior to us.
They're like throwing spears at each other and stuff.
Yeah, you know, like they just have a combined IQ of 9.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's more probable, you know. But it is a funny thought to think about, like a being, you find it and it's this exciting thing, and then it's just like, we should keep quiet about this.
Yeah.
It wasn't as cool as we thought. Like it's not.
I had a designer. I'm in the marketing world, and in the beginning of my career, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever it's been, 25. Wow. I had a designer, and he was an older gentleman, and this was kind of his retirement job, was being a designer for me and one other sales rep. And him and I became good friends. He was kind of a loner. He had his little place. He's passed now, but his main job was he was part of the government. And he was telling me how in the government, they when you have like high security clearance, usually what people will do, because there's so much information out there about different things, you know, aliens is just one of multiple different things. He said, if you're in the government, you have that kind of clearance, you'll become an expert on one category. You'll study, you'll go to the Library of Congress and you'll study one certain thing and you'll become the expert on that. And then when our president or somebody else is like, hey, we need information on this, instead of going in and trying to figure it all out. And this was before technology advanced that has the last 10 years, which now they just type it up and AI would tell them anything.
Right.
But back then you would call this expert and say, hey, you know, this weird globe has happened over Montana. What do you think it is? And be like, well,
swamp gas.
Right. So anyways, long story long, he was an expert on these sort of things, this, you know, alien life sort of stuff. And he actually had been called on. He missed days of work because the government would call on him to go, consult on this. And I was like, so, you know, you tell me, are there aliens? He's like, look, I can't say, but he's like, think about it logically. Think about the periodic table and about how the different chemicals that we have and we've have together, and then think about something like titanium that technically is not on the periodic table. He's like, how do you think we came up with, you know, a metal that's so stiff and strong but light that is just mind blowing to anybody that's normal. He's like, think about those sort of things. Like, how did we develop that kind of stuff? And just within a short period of time. And he's like, if you do that, you can think about how, what maybe we've gotten information and stuff on. So he made me a believer. I mean, and it's the truth. I mean, if you think about it logically like that, it's like we haven't been so much smarter in the last 50 years to be able to advance our technology like we have, probably without some help of some sort, right? So
I was on the fence when it came to alien life, and then I read this book called Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. Let's talk about Scientology. I'm not one to poke fun at other people's beliefs, but here I go.
Yeah.
Go for it.
The entire, and I use the term religion very, very softly when it comes to Scientology, but once South Park sort of blew the lid open on what they actually believe, which today is, to me, one of the most hilarious moments in our culture, it was South Park. Have you guys ever seen that?
I've seen the clips.
Yeah, I've seen the clip. And on the lower part of the screen, the letters are flashing. This is what they actually believe.
Yeah.
That billions of years ago, Lord Xenu, still one of the greatest names ever. Lord Xenu, killed a bunch of aliens in his spaceships that look like DC-10s, and by dropping them in volcanoes here on the Pacific Rim, and then the souls of the aliens became trapped here in our world. Like, it boggles my mind to think that there is a reasonably large group of people that actually believe that. They actually believe that that's what alien life is.
Yeah.
An intergalactic warlord who flew people here in vaguely American inventions.
Have you seen this has been happening recently, the Scientology, we're kind of off on a tangent, but oh well.
Yeah, that's what we do.
The Scientology speed runs that a bunch of Gen Zers have been doing.
No.
Oh man, so they like put on masks or whatever and then get a group of, like 15, 20, and they go, and because it's a public building, it's supposed to be a public building, and they'll go and they'll rip open the doors. But if you go to a church of Scientology, you can maybe step inside the lobby, but if you're not a part of their religious cult, then you can't go beyond that. And so what these kids are doing is they're like going in, opening the doors, and then just taking off and like sprinting as fast as they can to just get into the church, the building, and just like seeing what's in the rooms. There's people who are like watching the video footage that they're recording while they do this, and then like creating blueprints of these churches. And it's gotten to the point where there's like villains and heroes. There's like some of these kids that are running in are becoming like popular. They're known like their like pseudonym, and it's like they're the hero. And then there's certain like, I don't know, security people at these churches that have like shown up in multiples of these, and they become like the villain of this whole story. And it's a lot of these buildings, they've actually removed their exterior door handles. So, like, the door is still unlocked. You just can't open it because of how many kids are, like, bombing through their buildings, trying to figure out what's going on behind the curtain. It's hilarious. It's such a good watch. You got to check it out. I wasn't too worried about that.
Like I said, I'm on the fence when it comes to aliens, but to our alien overlord masters that are out there, I again want to pledge my fealty. And I am willing, when you arrive, to do whatever.
He will do
whatever
it takes. I think that's a good time to give another sponsored ad. Dave, you want to talk about Rose?
Oh, yeah. Our show today is also brought to us by Rose Chadwell Real Estate. Rose is a dedicated realtor here in Big Sky Country who wants to help you find your forever home. Reach out to Rose at bigskybrokers.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Rose. We're going to jump in another new segment. We are doing a movie review, but not a movie review as you would normally hear it. We are watching an old movie from the 70s, 80s, or 90s and doing it like it's fresh. So this week we are doing Rambo First Blood. I watched it yesterday. Nate, you brought it up last time that you'd watched it recently. Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yeah, I watched it last night.
You did watch it last night?
Oh.
So just to kind of give us a little tee up here, First Blood came out in 1982. It's an action thriller starring Sylvester Stallone as John J. Rambo, a troubled Vietnam veteran who uses his combat skills to survive a manhunt by a small town sheriff and his deputies after being harassed and unjustly arrested. It's filmed in Hope, British Columbia. In the movie, it says it's Hope, Washington, but it's actually in British Columbia, which is about 2 hours east of Vancouver. Had a budget of $15 million and ended up grossing $125 million. A few just kind of fun facts before we dive into it. Sylvester Stallone sustained a serious back injury, several broken ribs in particular due to performing his own stunts, and that spot where he falls off the cliff and he goes through all the branches.
Into the tree.
He dropped off the cliff into the tree, so he got hurt. During the jail escape scene, one of the first scenes there, first 20 minutes of the show, Sylvester Stallone accidentally broke a stuntman, Alf Humphrey's nose with his elbow. Filmmakers liked the take so much they kept it in the film. The original ending had Rambo dying of suicide, which tested so poorly that it was reshot. The iconic makeshift coat he wears was actually a piece of rotten canvas found in the woods. So stars for Sylvester Stallone. Everybody knows who Stallone is. Rocky, Cobra, Tulsa King, Expendables, Over the Top. Great movie. That same year, Stallone had Rocky III come out. It starred Richard Crenna, who was Colonel Samuel Troutman. He played in Hot Shots and all the rest of the movies he played in. I just did not know. So, and then Brian Dennehy, which is an interesting guy. I like Brian Dennehy. He was the sheriff, but he was in Tommy Boy, and he was in Silverado, which is one of my favorite westerns. So, and then David Caruso was in there, which is interesting. NYPD Blue.
Hair was so red.
Oh, man, he's so
red in that movie.
Yeah. NYPD Blue, CSI Miami, and Officer and a Gentleman. So after watching it, guys, what were your thoughts?
Well, I thought, number one, Rambo, if you grew up in the 80s, Rambo was one of those focal points for stay-at-home moms to protest against. The original cancel culture really came from 1980s stay-at-home moms. They would get outraged at all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Video game violence, New Coke, whatever it was.
That was a crime. That one,
you weren't even born. It wasn't as bad as history paints it to be. But I remember Rambo being this sort of like avatar for the problem with violence in media.
Yeah.
So I'm rewatching it and I'm like, oh, this actually isn't as violent as I thought it was, as I remember it being. There was almost like a stigma to it, like, oh, you're going to see the worst thing imaginable and all this. And I'm watching it and I'm like, this is a borderline PG-13 movie today.
Totally.
And I think the most graphic scene in there is when he's having to stitch up his arm after going through the tree.
Yeah.
And he's got blood coming out of his arm.
Or he pulls up the guy that's dead on the rocks, and he's got blood all over his head, something like that.
He's got to get that coat off of him.
Spikes in the woods.
Yeah, but that wasn't even that bad.
They didn't show much, but just kind of a knowledge of what that was.
As I'm watching it, I realized how much Predator ripped that movie off.
Yeah, I did.
All they did was just flip the dynamic of who's the hero and who's the villain when it came to Predator, because like the whole middle section of First Blood is essentially the same movie as the middle section of Predator, except the heroes in Predator are the ones getting hunted versus First Blood, the ones getting hunted are the villains, the sheriff's office. But
some stuff that stood out to me, some specific scenes. I was writing notes while I was watching it. The National Guard guys shooting a rocket into the cave.
Yeah.
That is classic. Love that.
They're all gathered around. They're holding up like a log.
That's excellent. The 6x6 truck when Rambo's driving back into town at the end, when they have the roadblock, somehow that thing jumps the car when he hits
The General Lee.
yeah, it's like a general thing. It lands, it almost wrecks, and he's like, "Hey, nothing happened here," you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of a funny scene. The billboard, being an advertising guy, this always jumps out to me. They had a Coke billboard in town that said, "Have a Coke and a smile." Remember that?
Yeah.
Have a Coke and a smile. And Eddie Murphy, you remember Eddie Murphy Raw? He was
Yeah.
like I don't remember the exact thing in Raw, but he's like, "Yeah, I talked to Bill Cosby." Or no, it was Richard Pryor. He's like, "I talked to Richard Pryor." Richard Pryor was like, "Yeah, have a Coke, smile, and shut the F up." You know?
Yeah.
So that Coke and a smile, that was a big campaign back then. And then at the end, when Rambo does his like breakdown and he's like ranting at the end, I did not understand a single word he said then.
Really?
I could not understand any. I like rewound. I had to put subtitles on. I couldn't understand anything he was saying.
Well, I mean, he's talking about being in Nam with his buddy, and they're on leave, and he gets the cigar box. So the guy opens the cigar box, and it's a bomb, and it blows it and all over there. So I'll say this: I thought First Blood is probably Stallone's best acted movie that he's ever been in. You know, this is before like Rambo became like a cartoon. You know, like borderline superhero.
Yep.
After that, like that first movie was one of the most powerful movies about the effects of the Vietnam War and the PTSD that people came back from. In my mind, the two best movies that deal with the aftermath of the Vietnam War are The Deer Hunter with Christopher Walken and First Blood.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to the end of First Blood when Stallone breaks down. Like that's the best acting he's ever done. And yeah, it's borderline incomprehensible, but it's also real.
It is real.
You know, when Krenna's character Trotman gets down and you know he's weeping and he puts his hand on him, you know, to comfort him. I mean, that's a powerful moment. And I think because of the popularity of that movie, it shined a more sympathetic light on Vietnam vets suffering from PTSD. And so I think there was a real important message with First Blood. You didn't get that in the rest of them. You know, it's like, do we get to win this time?
Yeah.
You know, when he gets sent back over to Nam. And
It's the best of the series. I mean,
absolutely.
if you watch all of them. I liked Last Blood, but it was like, eh. And I actually was going to bring in, I totally forgot about it, but I'm a bit of a knife collector. I actually bought, when Last Blood was coming out, they did a limited release of an actual Rambo knife, and the one that he used in Last Blood. So there was like, I don't know, 500 of them, and I got one of them. So
Nice. That's cool.
rewatching it last night, and being a child of the 80s, I remember what a big deal that knife in First Blood was. You know, like everybody wanted to get that knife. Like the knife is almost like a character in the movie. You know, like when he first unscrews the cap in the end to pull out the supplies to stitch himself up. Like all of a sudden it's like, wait, you could do that? You know, and that knife was sold everywhere in the early 80s. Everybody wanted the Rambo knife, and they would have their own supplies and the handle for whatever reason.
I had a knockoff version back then. It had like the compass on the end.
Yeah, the compass in the stock.
And I would shove. I took all the stuff out, and I put like matches, like fire starting stuff in there. Like at 4 years old, I was going to
of course,
do anything, you know. And I don't know why my dad let me have one at 4 years old, but.
Actually, speaking of that, I think that might be, at least
Were
for
we?
me. For me, that might be why First Blood is so effective at communicating its message, is because like it starts out and you kind of hate the sheriff.
Oh yeah.
You're like, man, this guy's a jerk. And then it gets to the scenes in the police station and you're like, okay, Rambo's the jerk. And then it goes, like, it just goes back and forth the whole movie. You're like, you're on this constant roller coaster of like, who's actually the bad guy here? Who's actually the good guy here? And it's not until the very end when you see him break down, you kind of get little windows of it. Like, oh, he's dealing with PTSD. He's struggling with the stuff that he saw in Nam. But it's not until the very end that you finally get the like, oh, I get it. Like, I understand why. And I think that's why it connects with the audience really well, is because you're constantly on the edge of your seat, just kind of like trying to figure out what's going on in his head. And it's so much better than like all the movies that we have today where it's just like
Well, there's
a
no
verbal vomit of exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do any thinking to try and figure out the nuances of the character.
it's not cookie cutter good guys
No.
and bad guys. First Blood is a great example of you have a protagonist and antagonist, and those aren't necessarily good guys, bad guys. The protagonist exists to keep the plot going. The antagonist is there to prevent the protagonist's action from advancing the plot.
And drama in some way.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of gray area in that whole movie and the characterizations of the different people inside of it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's crazy to me that Stallone, from Practical Bankruptcy to, two of the most iconic series ever, and I mean, the man he's never been a great actor. I'm sorry. He's just not a great actor, but he's got like this tough guy thing, and he's the epitome of masculine testosterone. He's buff, and he's like always going forward. I mean, like Tango and Cash. I love Tango and Cash. I thought that was a great movie,
Demolition Man.
Demolition
Man is probably my favorite Stallone movie.
I think the reason we love him is because he wasn't a great actor.
Yeah.
Like, he feels real and human, and like that could be one of us. I mean, not the muscles and stuff like that.
I think that's why the ending of First Blood was so poignant, because nobody really thought of him as being a fantastic actor, even though, Rocky won several Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And I think he won because he wrote the movie. And if I remember right, he won an Oscar for writing Rocky. But when he breaks down inside of the sheriff's office at the end, after he says, nothing's over.
Yeah.
And then he breaks down because he was not the greatest actor. And yet here he is just pouring everything into this incomprehensible meltdown that he's having in there. I think it endeared him to a lot of us, because that was as raw and real as he could potentially get with his acting range. And I thought he nailed it. I thought he was absolutely fantastic at the end of that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the incoherence, I understood. You could catch enough to say what he was saying, but for me, the incoherence was part of the drama of it, because if it was like cleanly delivered, maybe it just wouldn't be the same sort of, vocal vomit that it should be for somebody that's like trying to get that out. So yeah, that's great.
Like you, I was looking up, this is my last thing, looking up trivia while I was watching it, and I had forgotten that Richard Crenna, who plays Trotman, the Colonel, he was a last-minute replacement. The original actor who played that was Kirk Douglas.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, and Kirk Douglas came in, and basically they had to fire him because he had all these crazy ideas. He came in with the script and had like rewritten the end of it.
Oh, geez.
And because the way he wanted the movie to end was he was going to secretly kill Rambo at the end, and then the last shot, he wanted the last shot of the movie to be him driving off, and the camera would pan up and they'd show his face, and then they'd pan up a little bit more and he'd be wearing Rambo's headband with this crazy look in his eyes. And they were basically, the director and Stallone were like, well, thank you, Mr. Douglas. We're going to go a different direction.
Yeah.
Picking up your option.
Yeah, exactly.
He was great. I love Kirk Douglas too. That's too bad that he was kooky like that for this one. Okay, one last sponsor is Montana Bond Marketing, mtbahn.com for all your marketing needs, or we're adding sponsors like wildfire here. So if you want to be a sponsor of the podcast here, email me, Jeff at mtbahn.com, or any other marketing needs. So I think that'll do it for this episode. Subscribe to our socials, Instagram, Facebook. MySpace is not happening. It will not load now, so I'm done with it. MySpace, you're out. So Facebook, Instagram, you can get us there. You can share our podcast. We are on everything now. We are on Apple Pod. We're on Spotify. We're on Amazon Music. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Deezer, if we know what Deezer is, but I don't know what. I have
no clue.
But if you like Deezer, we're there. So go on, like us. We're on YouTube. We got our first video one up on YouTube. So
do we have a Twitch stream yet?
No.
No, we're not
Oh
Twitch.
man.
We'll do float plane, not Twitch.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're everywhere. So go out, review us, positive reviews, share us, and thanks for everything. And we'll see you
I
next
signed
week.
us up on Tinder too.
We're on Tinder too.
How do you do 3 guys on one Tinder
We use the
account?
logo.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, and we'll see you next week.